Well, now. What do you make of all this, Lieutenant?
Nothing conclusive, sir. But maybe the prevailing theory is wrong. Maybe this is not a case of mistaken identity. Maybe the murderer actually wanted to kill
What are you
Mr. Stone.
talking about? That is absurd. Repeated threats are made of my life, and a man wearing my jacket and my hat, driving my car, pulls into my garage, and he's shot down dead. And you say that's not a case of mistaken identity. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it.
I thought you'd be relieved.
But
I mean, I thought you'd be happy to know that the murderer wasn't trying to shoot you.
Well, Lieutenant, it's not a case of relief. It's a case of just trying to intelligently appraise exactly what happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. I have to admit, if it was me, I feel relieved.
Greetings, Columbo fans. Welcome to a new episode of the Columbo Confab podcast. My name is not Steve.
That's nice. And I'm definitely not Sean.
Hello, not Sean.
Yeah.
And this time we're going to be talking about Candidate for Crime, starring Jackie Cooper as a salacious and murderous senator.
Yeah,
or
named
Senator
Perry
to
White.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You were visiting last weekend, and you mentioned, he played Perry White, and I'm like, who? And you're like...
Yes, you have not seen this 1980 Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, or any of them.
Never seen none of them. Nope.
You should at least see the first one.
I know. And I know he flies around the world backwards. I know about that, and I feel like...
Doesn't fly around the world backwards.
Or he flies around it. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm actually, your other podcast, 1001 Movies podcast, surely it's going to pop up there at some point.
It will not pop up there.
Really?
No, it is not in that list. Curiously,
wow.
Batman, however, is.
The Michael Keaton one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I did that in episode 3 of the podcast, I think. But yeah, let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about something far more interesting. Let's talk about Candidate for Crime.
Yes, and I do want to say that tonight's episode is sponsored by Windows 10. If you're looking for a program that completely ruins your work, delays you by hours, Microsoft 10 is for you.
Yeah, we are approximately an hour and a half later than we were planning on recording because Steve's had computer issues.
Yeah, it was updating.
He
updating. It was stuck on 10% for like 20 minutes. No clue.
Okay.
I have no idea how this works. Why does my work computer or a work laptop not have this problem? It runs off Windows 10, but the one at home...
Two words. Naughty videos.
No, I don't. I only use this laptop for podcasting with you, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the occasional porn, but no, pretty much...
What I understand is that if you look at naughty videos, that can affect the performance of your computer. Yeah. From what I understand,
it gets your computer STDs apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, and no amount of software can penetrate it or whatever. Okay, so tell us what happens in Candidate for Crime, there, Steve.
Yes. So I have a confession to make. Now, since we started this podcast doing Columbo, I would get a little excited and get carried away and watch episodes in advance of this podcast because I really enjoy the show and I would always want to watch something new. So I guess over time I've seen everything, and I'm kind of like, okay, you would announce it at the end of each show, and I'm like, yeah, I remember that one. I remember certain plot points, but I would always rewatch it for the review process. I guess that's what we're doing, reviewing, right? I'm not really sure.
I think that's... Is that what we do here? I don't know.
I think we just talk about it, really. But this one, come to find out, I have never seen before. This was my first viewing, and I was really excited to find out that I had not seen this particular episode. So I've only seen this the one time, so I don't have anything to... I like watching things multiple times because you always catch things the second viewing or each subsequent viewing. So I probably am not going to be as much help in details and clues with this one, because I know you like clues, and I'm not going to be too good at this. So
There's clues in this. There's plenty of clues in this.
Yeah.
But what is the episode about? Please tell.
So it's about a guy named Nelson Hayward. He's running for Senate, and I don't remember if he's already getting death threats or not, but the LA Police Department has been assigned to him for security detail. And interestingly enough, we see Columbo almost immediately in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those rare instances because the police have been assigned to us, and the death threats are fake, by the way.
Right. Now is that why the police department is doing security, because he's been receiving death threats?
I think so. Yeah.
Or was it okay? I wasn't sure if okay, yeah.
Because he says it on TV in the beginning. He's being interviewed, like in a hallway. Columbo's there, and he says something about death threats. And I think that someone running for Senate would have bodyguards anyway.
Good think.
I don't know. President, yes.
Senate, we also find out. Oh yeah. So Hayward, just like all politicians, is a shithead. He's sleeping around with his wife's secretary, Linda. So yeah, he's not a very scrupulous guy. I mean, apparently he's also the murderer, so he's not a good person, like all politicians. I hate to bundle a profession into a group of personality type, but pretty much, if you're a politician, you're an asshole. I'm sorry. Did we lose any listeners on that one?
I'm sure there must be somebody who likes some politicians somewhere that we've just lost.
Yeah.
We've lost the Beta O'Rourke contingent on the podcast. Oh, wait, there go the Pete Buttigieg fans.
What?
Those
Okay.
are the nice guys politicians.
Oh. So, yeah, we see Hayward kind of setting up the crime scene. No, I should let me rewind a bit. We're introduced to the lover, or the love affair, Linda, and we also are introduced to Harry Stone, which is Hayward's campaign manager. And during this time, while Stone and Linda are watching the TV, watching the interview, he's basically saying, "You need to break up." He's I don't want you to be a factor if this comes out that you're sleeping with a married man.
Yeah, married. Yeah. And does Harry Stone? Does he look like? He looks like to me like a guy who was perpetually sweating underneath his clothes.
Yes, you could say that. And
he's
you know what?
So gross. He's so gross.
I was about to say something really nice, but okay.
Okay, say something nice about the late Harry Stone. No, say something nice.
He spelled pretty. I don't know.
You what?
I said he spelled pretty. I don't know. I didn't have anything nice to say.
Oh, okay.
Being a jerk. He did actually, I did look up, because I wanted to see if I'd seen him somewhere else, because he did look familiar, but I wasn't able to find anything that I recognized. He did pass away a year ago next month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, a year ago in November. We're not in October yet. Okay. Yeah. So, just recently passed away.
Jackie Cooper passed away a little earlier than that. I want to say he passed away in maybe 2015. But the other people in this are alive. The ladies, of course, are alive. The young ladies. The young ladies in the story.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. The episode very wisely chooses not to give the impression that Hayward is on one side of the aisle or the other. In fact, they purposely give him a blue and red campaign poster, which is the most horrible campaign poster I've ever seen. But that's okay, because we're not watching this to see his campaign poster. But what is it that Hayward? How is he going to kill Harry? Hayward's going to kill Harry.
So yeah, so I guess Hayward is sick of Stone telling him what to do, and Stone even says something which probably kind of keys in the fact of why Hayward wants to kill him, is that he says, I know every skeleton in your closet, or something to that effect. So I guess, I don't know. I guess Hayward's just sick of Stone, and so he's just. You would think there'd be other ways to do it. Maybe I was about to say, why couldn't he fire him? But maybe Stone would come out with a, with a scathing reveal about his personal life or something. I don't know. But
yeah, that was back in the day when that would happen. Yeah, somebody would have an affair, and then all of a sudden they can't run for Congress or for president or anything because that's God, what's that guy's name? Gary Hart? Is that
Gary?
called?
Oh yeah, Gary Hart. Yeah,
Gary
Monkey
Hart.
Business. That was on the boat. Monkey Business. Yeah, he was fooling around with. Oh my God, that was the '80s, Sean.
They made a documentary about it, but nowadays nobody really seems to care about that. You can do a lot of stuff, and apparently, there used to be a saying. Somebody told me this.
Politicians are trash. Yeah.
Well, no, they said you'll be okay in politics as long as you're not caught with a dead hooker or a live boy. So,
Jeez.
Which.
Times have not changed, apparently. So Hayward is going to try to kill Stone. So he ends up convincing Stone that he's going to go to his wife's surprise birthday party, but they trade jackets, right?
Yes.
And gets Stone to dress up like him and take his car, and that way the police will follow him. So he can have a few moments alone and take Stone's car in his jacket and go back to Hayward's house.
Correct.
Did that make sense?
He tells Stone that he's going to go talk to Linda because he doesn't want her taking an overdose of sleeping pills, because he's breaking up with her. So, but really what happens is they switch coats. Stone takes off, gets to the beach house, Nelson's beach house. Not his home, but his beach house. A lot of these murderers have beach houses.
I know.
And somehow Hayward got there before him. I don't know how. And is waiting for him in the garage.
Well, what was because he was trying to probably get the cops off his tail, wasn't he? I would imagine.
Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah, because the cops were following him because they were responsible not to take their eyes off Hayward. There was always going to be a man at the door. So I'm sure the police officer that he tricked to leave for a moment was probably going to get in trouble.
Yeah, so Stone gets to Hayward's beach house, parks in the garage, and the light flips on, and there's Hayward with a gun, with a silencer, shoots him 3 times, and in one of the oldest tricks in the books, he has a watch that he puts on Harry Stone's hand or arm, and he breaks the watch to make it look as if the crime was committed at 9:20. Which is like I don't know. It's like I see that so often. Like that's whenever in a story somebody's watch breaks when they're killed. It's always a false clue,
But would the crystal of the watch, if that were to break, would that really break the watch from working though? Wouldn't the gears still be? I mean, it's obviously a wind watch. Wouldn't it still be working?
I don't know. I am not an experienced watchologist.
Yeah.
You would have to, find a little old man who repairs watches in a back room somewhere, with gnomes or whatever.
Right. So, Hayward, shoots him, switches the watch, and then goes to his normal residence, his home, where Vicky, his wife, has been drinking all night. Obviously, not a happy marriage.
Well, she's happy drinking alone in a room, listening to music. And calling the maid to make her drinks. Juanita! And
actually, all her friends are they hiding outside or are they hiding in the back of the house?
I think they're hiding in the back of the house, but there's 7 of them, and I don't know how they all got there. But she must be really drunk, or they have soundproof walls that that are really good. Because
could you imagine being one of those 7 and I think she's getting drunk. Oh my God! When is Nelson going to get here?
Yeah.
It's just how embarrassing for her. Oh my God! But yeah.
So they have and there's a trick where it kind of looks like Nelson's gonna kill her because he sneaks up behind her.
Yes.
And puts his hands over her eyes. If anybody did that to me, I would fucking kill him. Don't ever do that to me, Steve. The room's
I don't want you to hit me in the ghoulies, so.
Yeah. The first thing that probably flashed through her mind was like, oh my God, I'm being killed. There is, he killed Juanita, now he's killing me. But no, it's happy birthday, surprise.
Yay. So he takes this opportunity while everybody's talking to Vicky. He goes into a back room, calls the police department, and tells them that he's taking care of himself. He's impersonating the whoever wants to kill him.
He's impersonating the murderer.
Yeah, well, he is the murderer, but yeah.
Well, yeah, he's impersonating the assassin that wanted. Yeah,
right.
And
that's the word I was looking for.
He disguises his voice by taking a handkerchief and putting it over the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if does that work. I don't know. They always do that in movies.
They do. Yeah.
If you want to see what's left of him, go to his beach house. And this is at about 9:23 or so, give or take a minute. Supposedly 3 minutes after Harry Stone was killed. And then he takes a nice, expensive old bottle of brandy and only 6 glasses out to his guests, where apparently 2 of them will be disappointed. So yeah.
Then we jump to a scene with Columbo. He's at the dentist. He's seeing Dr. Corman. He's getting his crowns worked on, I guess.
How did you know his name was Dr. Corman?
Isn't that the name of the dentist from what's that other episode that I'm thinking of?
Oh,
with the dentist. That was Dr. Corman.
Are you talking about the 90s episode with James Reed?
Fit for a Crown or Fit for, what was it?
Uneasy Lies the Crown.
Uneasy Lies the Crown, that's it. Yeah.
I don't remember what his name was. I think it was Corman. Wesley Corman. Yeah. No, this is Dr. Donatello or something like that.
Yeah, he's some kind of mafioso Italian. Says, "You're Italian, I'm Italian." He goes off on this rant about, what you need to change your name.
I'd be like, fuck you. No, I like my Italian name.
I've known 3 generations of Italians before me and family, and none of them ever said that kind of talk like that about changing your name. Never heard that.
Were any of them ever offended by movies like The Godfather or Goodfellas or anything like that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew somebody who was Italian, and he wouldn't watch Goodfellas because it offended him. Yeah.
No, there's I don't know what it is now, but I think a lot of the first generation American Italians didn't like it because it kind of stereotyped them as being vicious, and they were trying to get a start, and so they had to fight kind of that reputation.
Interesting.
So, yeah. But anyways.
So it's announced on the radio that Nelson Hayward is dead. Columbo's shocked. He's like, I better call my wife. She's his biggest fan.
Right.
So he's called to the scene of the crime by the police commissioner himself.
Yes.
Who, I don't know how long he lasts on the job, but he's replaced a little bit later by Richard Kiley. And turns out, no, it was not Nelson Hayward, of course. It was Harry Stone.
Yeah.
Now, this scene is, again, one of those scenes where we see Columbo at the scene of the crime. He's not saying anything. In fact, people are trying to get him to talk and listen. And he's just walking around looking at stuff and asking weird questions. Like, oh, look at that. Kids broke the light. Oh, wait, was the light on? Oh,
yeah, so apparently that's what... crime. Is that what kids did for entertainment back whenever Columbo was a kid? Because even Hayward said they used to break lamp lights or whatever you call the street lamps or
street
whatever.
Lamps, yeah. You know what I did? I'd like to take my shoes, tie them together, and throw them over telephone wires.
What?
You ever see that? Like at the opening of Sesame Street, they'd always show... Never mind, it's hard to explain.
That wasn't in Sesame Street, was it?
Yes, in the old Sesame Street, like when we were kids. It would always go dun, 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 and then it would start with a shot of like some shoes hanging off a wire, and
I remember it was in Big. It was a scene in Big Fish with Ewan McGregor and what was that one actor? He died recently. Albert Finney. I almost said Oliver Reed. Fuck. So yeah, all right. But I used to throw stones at abandoned buildings and at their windows. Yeah. You little hooligan.
I got in trouble for that one time. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So yeah. What a interesting thing. What happens after that? There was one part that I found quite funny. I don't know if it was played for laughs or not. I don't know why it was written in, but when Columbo finds out that it wasn't Hayward that was killed, it was Stone. He was like, "Oh, whew, thank God." I'm like,
well, you better.
What about the poor campaign manager? He's dead. Well. So it may not have been the politician, which all of them deserve to die.
Oh, I meant to look up the one guy. The one detective looked really familiar. But the police commissioner in this scene...
you really like this guy.
...was in a previous episode of Columbo. Does he look familiar at all to you? No?
Nope. Who is he?
He was one of the 3 wine guys at the beginning of Any Old Port in a Storm. Remember Adrian?
Oh, yeah. Well, we were watching that when I was there.
Yeah, he wasn't the one from Texas. He wasn't the one that looked like the Master from Doctor Who. He was the other one.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
So,
yeah.
But
I'm from... What does he say? Something like... Cassini says something like...
I don't want to give it to some Texas bumpkin who'll bring it out.
Oh, yeah, some bumpkin. But I'm from Texas.
But the thing is, he doesn't say it like that, thank God. He just... I'm from Texas. I'm from Texas.
He says it like that either, but...
Yes, but you, my dear Falcon, are connoisseur. And then that, smooths it over. The one detective at the scene of the crime looked really familiar, but I did not remember to look him up. But maybe I'll do that some other time on another podcast. But
so Columbo's put in charge of this case while the commissioner is going to ensure Hayward's security details in where it needs to be. I'm really not sure what the fuck he's asking Columbo to do, but he wants. But I guess Columbo goes to the house. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. He's going to put Columbo in charge of the murder investigation. Since if it was Hayward, then the police commissioner would be taking charge of it. But since it's not Hayward, then Columbo.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
Even though Columbo has already solved umpteen murders, we don't want him. So Columbo has to go to Hayward's home where the party's going on and tell Hayward that that basically, your campaign manager, Harry Stone, is dead. He was found dead in your beach house.
Right.
And
I thought it was funny because Juanita, do we ever see Juanita? Because Vicky opens the door in this, in this next scene. Right. And I guess she just tells Columbo to go have some cake.
Yeah, go in the back door in the kitchen.
Grab yourself some cake.
And have some cake.
I'm surprised Columbo didn't take her up on that, quite honestly.
Yeah, I know. But I don't like the fact that she said, go around to the back door. Like, okay, what am I, the help? You don't want me walking through your Spartan... Anyway. And did you notice, is it me or was she not wearing a bra?
I did not notice.
Why do I notice this?
I don't know. That's very interesting.
She, in the scene when Nelson sneaks up behind her and puts his hands over her eyes, she's looking pretty perky there, if you know what I mean.
Did not notice that.
Yeah. Did you see the size of that video camera, by the way? There was a TV news crew, and my God, that was massive.
How much do you think that must have weighed? Like
80
pounds?
I mean, and it's this scrawny little guy wielding it, too. Jeez.
Is that what they looked like back then?
It must be. I mean, that's just... I mean, I've seen them from, like, the 60s. I saw... There used to be one at my school, but... Man, oh, man. It just goes to show you. I think that technology changes every 10 years.
Well, I remember watching or hearing somebody talk about cameras from the 70s and 80s, so comparable to probably what we saw tonight. But the biggest thing, what took up the most space on those cameras were the batteries. Like the technology behind film, film can be compacted down pretty tightly, but it's the batteries, especially back then. The batteries were a ton of weight, and that's what took up most of. I think that's what I heard. I have no prior experience with those things, but I think that's probably why they were so big. Was because of the battery packs.
The video camera technical podcast.
Yes.
Technical corner. All right, so Hayward does a pretty good job of acting surprised and
Yes.
shocked, and oh my God, if I didn't tell him to go to my beach house, this wouldn't have happened. Oh my
Just
goodness.
like all politicians, he's a good actor. Yeah.
And the party breaks up because it's so sad, and of course it has to be. I may be wrong, but at this point, does he say to Columbo something like, "Oh, I feel horrible. What time? I was at 9:20. I was here having this party with everybody."
Yeah, he did that a few times. He was very I wouldn't say overly simplistic, but he was trying to explain things, outline it to Columbo. There was one where it was about a clue, and basically Hayward just explains it line for line what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's all circumstantial. We don't know if that actually happened, but he seemed to be as a matter of fact about it.
Yeah.
About how things happen.
Yeah. He laid it all out for Columbo, exactly what he wanted Columbo to think.
Right.
Which is suspicious in and of itself, but I don't think that that's the moment that Columbo thinks that Hayward is the murderer. I think I know the exact moment that Columbo thinks he's the murderer, but I don't think it's then.
I wasn't able to discern that, so I can't wait to hear what you.
Yeah.
What you
Oh
think.
yeah. Oh, I think it's spot on. The exact moment I can tell.
I just thought because he was a politician, and Columbo knew all politicians were trash. That he just. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you I was almost a politician?
No. How?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I was never. I never want to be a politician ever. That's like the last thing. Like there's like hobo. Can we say hobo? There's like homeless person, and then like right below that is a politician. I would hate it. Wouldn't mind being a judge, but that's not the same thing.
So
where are we?
Finally, everybody's cleared out of the party. Everybody leaves early because of the discovery. And Columbo basically ruined this party. I cannot believe he could not call him into a private room, right? But anyways, so everybody has been asked to leave because of this now horrible news. And Vicky, it says something to Hayward, Nelson, her husband, says something like, "Well, I guess you can't go out tonight, huh?" Because I think she suspects that he fools around behind her back.
Yeah, but she doesn't know with who.
Right. Oh God, no. Yeah.
And she's drunk. Obviously, she's drunk pretty much all the time. And poor thing, I feel really bad.
And I think she even what an unusual time to kind of threaten her husband, especially after finding out about the loss of his campaign manager. But she says something along the lines like, "Yeah, I could ruin you. I could divorce you, and I could ruin you." And then he turns on a dime and says something like, "Well, no, you're my wife, and I love you, and why don't you come on the campaign trail with me? And oh, by the way, why don't you bring your that new secretary you have? What's her name?"
Isn't that so sleazy? Oh, I can just see that Bill and Hillary having that conversation back in the '90s. She's nice, you feel kind of bad for her, but she's smart, she's onto him. She doesn't have it all put together. She does later on, but poor thing. I mean, she doesn't have anything to do but just drink.
No.
She doesn't have a job. She's one of many of alcoholic women in Columbo.
Yes, a lot of drinking going on in the L.A. area.
Yeah.
Not that I would know because don't live there.
We don't. I don't. Yeah. In the L.A. area. The drunk women on Columbo represent the all of the alcoholism in the LA area.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so next scene, we're back at the campaign office, or not back. We go to the campaign office, and Columbo is waiting for Hayward during his interview. I guess he's being interviewed about the death of his campaign manager, Harry Stone. And during this time, Columbo gets a brief interaction with him before he goes into his office, and we find out that Columbo's a big advocate for voting. That's good,
Oh, we talk. We sit around the table and we talk.
I bet they do. With all the nephews and cousins and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and
that makes
godparents.
That makes for a great conversation, talking with your relatives about politics. Actually,
that's the one thing you don't talk about. They say specifically during Thanksgiving holidays when you are with extended family members, don't ever talk about Politics. What?
We don't nowadays, because politics are pretty divisive now. It's them versus us. But I remember back when I was a kid and I wouldn't talk to the adults, I would play. I remember overhearing a lot of heated debate about politics among the adults, many of which are dead now.
Right.
Because I have an uncle who's very right wing. My grandfather would vote Democrat. My grandmother would vote Democrat, but she just did it because my grandfather did, and now she votes Republican. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Yeah, it's like he would just tell her how to vote, and she would vote that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. And then there would be my old Russian uncle who would always just bitch about the Clintons. Clinton! Or
Where is Trump? I'm sorry. No, we can't. I don't want to go down the political slippy slide here of we'll definitely lose all our listeners if we do that.
But I would love to see like a group of like 10 Italian people having dinner, a family having dinner and arguing about politics. Just that has to be a movie. That's got to be a movie. The best I can think of is we saw this movie a couple weeks ago that won Best Picture. Green Book. There's a scene in that reminds me that we're watching this, and my other half, Tom, he's Asian. He says, "My God, they're louder than Chinese people." Anyway, I'm sorry. There go the Chinese contingent.
Yeah, and the Italians too. Great.
Yeah.
All right. So, we find out that Columbo's wife is crazy about Hayward, and Hayward says, "Well, who are you voting for?" And he says, "Well, my wife for sure is voting for you." And Hayward says, "What about you?" He goes, "Well, I'm still on the fence." Which
it's very
fair.
That's fair. Yeah. So the DVD actually says that there's somebody famous in this. It doesn't mention Jackie Cooper. It mentions Katie Sagal, who we know. She's the mom from Married with Children, and she was also in a show called The Sons of Anarchy.
What? She's in there?
She's in this.
Out.
She plays,
Where?
Excuse me. She plays his secretary.
What?
In that scene.
Oh no! I've got to put this DVD back in.
Well, wait, hold on. She doesn't. You can't tell it's her.
No,
I think that the director is her father, maybe. Again, that's research, but I noticed that the director's name is Boris Sagal. But she's in it. She's his secretary, and in the scene where Columbo's sitting there and the guy comes in with the new jacket for him, she tells him, and she's also in the end on election night. She's right there in front of the TV watching TV. So yeah.
Well, how cool is that?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that. Wow. But so during that scene, Hayward is in his office with Linda playing tonsil hockey. Can't keep his tongue out of her throat, man.
Nasty.
Jeez.
What does she see in him? I mean, that's just
I don't know.
gross.
Power?
I mean,
I don't know.
She must hate her boss then. She must hate Victoria to fall for that kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's just, I felt so bad for her, and he's just thinking with his, thing, and it's just gross, making everybody outside wait.
Did they have Viagra back then, or was it maybe raw oysters? Maybe he was drinking raw oyster juice or something.
I think it was champagne and strawberries, according to Mrs. Lysenko.
Miss Lysenko, oh.
Yeah, she goes in there to pick up a date book or something, and Columbo notices that she was in there longer than, But
yeah, I think he picks up pretty quick. Is this where you think or this is when he starts to suspect?
It's at the end of this conversation that he has with Hayward, because Hayward's actions and his reactions during this conversation simply do not make sense. Because Columbo notes that the light switch was it the light switch was on?
It was, right?
Okay, wait, no, the lights were off in the garage. And there was a car parked on the right-hand side of the garage, and where Harry Stone was, it was on the other in a part of the garage that if the killer had pulled his car up, his headlights would have shined right on Harry Stone, and the killer would have been able to tell that it wasn't Nelson Hayward, it was Harry Stone. But if that means that either the killer intended to kill Harry Stone, the way, because it's complicated. So he comes to the conclusion that since if the killers drove up, they would have been able to see him in the headlights. they wouldn't have killed him. So therefore, the killer had to already be there. But if the killer was already there, how did he get into the garage? Because nobody broke into the garage.
Right.
So the killer had to be there and either had shot him in the dark, or the killer knew it was Harry Stone and shot him intentionally, knowing that, which of course is the truth.
And one of the problems I had about this murder, let's assume that Hayward, we don't know who murdered Stone. Let's assume there was an assassin after Hayward. Mm-hmm. Mistaken identity, whatever. And one of Columbo's points was, well, how did he park the car? Because there's no way, the street's too narrow. It would take him time. Stone would have seen the car, whatever. But it was always on the assumption that it was one person. What would have prevented it from being a group of people?
Oh, that's absolutely right.
Someone waiting by the bushes. Someone somehow walkie-talkie. I don't know what technology had back then. Didn't have cell phones, but called ahead, or I don't know. Just have two people or three or a team of people that want Hayward dead. Why was that never assumed? It was a group of people. Why it had to be one person?
That's a very good question. But still, the person that shot him had to see him, whether it was one person or a group of people in on it together.
That's right, because he was facing the killer.
Yeah, because the bullet came from that side of the garage where the parked car already was.
Right.
So it would have been impossible for the killer to shoot him without seeing who he was. Now, I would have said, well, you're standing in a garage with a gun waiting to kill someone, and some other guy shows up, you're going to kill him because you don't want to be reported. You don't want to be, he's going to get you in trouble. He's going to finger you. That was probably not the right word to use, but what's more important, I think, is Hayward's reaction to this. He's like, well, Columbo, what if this happened and this happened? Then they would have been able to do... And Columbo immediately says, well, I thought you would have been relieved. Because this means that the killer knew it was Harry Stone, which means that your life isn't in danger. And, of course, Hayward's like, well,
So you think that's the takeaway or giveaway that he was the killer?
That's the giveaway, because then later on, Columbo actually follows up to find out when the suit was ordered, and that's real clincher right there. I think he first suspects for sure when Hayward is so intent on this theory that they were out to kill him, and then Columbo then uses his suspicion to follow up about the coat, and voila.
Yeah. So we learned a few things in this scene. We learned that, point out that Columbo used the back of one of the campaign posters for his diagram because he doesn't like to waste. Just like his cousin, his 38-year-old cousin, probably still lives with his mother, by the way, just assuming, still has his old high school sneakers. And it made me think to myself, I have a sweater. I still have, I don't know why I still have the sweater, but I have a sweater from high school. Do you have any clothes or anything that you have from when you were young? Like 18 years, 19?
At one time, no, absolutely not. Why? Why do you keep a sweater?
I don't know.
Is it a Letterman sweater? I didn't.
No. It's just a cotton V-neck sweater.
So, if you would go back to Derry, that would probably be your token. I'm referring back to. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Random. Totally random.
But
you don't have anything from
chapter 2.
Yeah, which I enjoyed. But
yeah, I used to keep. Once upon a time, I used to buy naughty things to wear. Naughty things,
God.
And I used to keep those. But then I thought, I'm too fucking fat now. I got to throw this away. This is just pathetic. Why am I telling everybody this? Nobody wants to know this. But as you all know, though, I'm really hot. So.
I just didn't want to hear this. Oh my God, I was not. When I asked you the question if you had anything from high school, I was not expecting this conversation.
I have a yearbook from high school, and that's about it.
Okay.
Oh fuck! You know what? I'm sorry. This is a bunny trail, but you know what I fucking hate? Oh God! And it's not her fault. She can't help it. I once upon a time had a girlfriend in late high school, early college, and she went to my prom, and I went to her prom, and she posted pictures of her daughter's senior year, and I'm like, fuck. I'm so old. Damn it. I'm going to die soon, Steve. I'm going to die soon. God.
Well, not before we finish this series of Columbo episodes.
No.
Okay. Okay, we also learn that that Columbo has now been assigned to Hayward's security detail.
Uh-huh.
Hayward kind of smiled and, kind of did a fake nod, and but after Columbo left, he turned to a frown. He was not happy about this.
Yeah, there's the murderer's reaction when he leaves.
Mm-hmm. And we also learned that a really nice camel-haired coat from 1970 whatever, $200. Not bad. I would buy that.
I would buy that too. I wonder how much that would be now.
Oh man.
But tell us how we know that it.
Oh, but but it's not for a full suit. That's $200 just for the jacket.
Just for the jacket, exactly. Yeah. Can I just say that I really love by the way, but going back a little bit, I really love the clue about the garage and the lights. I think that's a great clue. And I think it's great how he explains it. And I think the interaction between the two is probably my favorite scene in the movie. But we have to continue on. How does he find out about tell us about the part with the tailor.
So yes, we get to see Vito Scotti, a recurring actor. Well, that's the actor's name. I have no idea what the name of the character is. I guess his name is Chadwick or something. I'm not, because that's the name of the coat store.
Okay.
Or is it a tailor or a coat, or both? It can be both.
A tailor or what?
Or a coat store, or suits, whatever. Call those kind of places.
No, it's a tailor.
It is a tailor.
Yeah. Wait. You're right though. He sells. He's a custom tailor. That must be really expensive.
Yeah, that must be.
Yeah. Huh.
And I'm surprised Columbo would go. I mean, he was searching for clues, really. I don't think he had any intention of buying a jacket, but.
And he tells him, "Oh yeah, I gotta wear something nice. My wife's bowling banquet is coming up next week." And you can
That's
just
so
tell these guys are just being so polite. There's two of them. There's the actual, I guess, the owner of the business or the manager is Vito Scotti, and then the tailor with the tape measure in the back, and they're kind of like, "Oh, okay, all right, well, no problem, but okay." They can tell, like, it's almost like they're talking to a simple person or a special needs person, the way that their demeanor changes.
Yeah.
And I forget the timeline, but he picks out the camel hair, the nice beige camel hair, and he says, "Can I have that by Saturday?" And Vito Scotti says, "No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, sir. It's 10 days." And he goes, "Well, Nelson Hayward, no, it's 10 days for everybody. I can't make a rush order. No exceptions. I can't do a Vito Scotti voice." But so the clue being, well, he explains it later on, but he does say my favorite thing. He says, "Lieutenant, if I may suggest, department stores."
Yeah.
And you know what? I just realized that sometime after this, Columbo must have bought a tuxedo, because we see him in one for the first time in Forgotten Lady when he goes to Joan Wheeler's house.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, but his tuxedo is probably much cheaper than.
Now, this would be a great Columbo trivia question, which I'm 100% sure you have the answer to, but how many episodes did Columbo wear a tuxedo in the series run?
Okay, I can actually count them out. I bet you I can. There's Forgotten Lady, Murder Under Glass, Caution, Murder Can Be Hazardous to Your Health, No Time to Die, and that's all I know. And I think that there's more, but I just can't remember what they are. You don't know the answer to the question, do you?
I have no idea. No, I can't think of the episodes. I can think of the scenes.
Right.
But yeah, no, I couldn't name the episode titles. Okay, so next we go to, or Columbo, I should say, goes to a ribbon cutting for an adult rec center, where once again we have more cake. Lots of cake in this episode, and champagne. I would love to go to a party that had cake and champagne. That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Wait, I have to ask you a question, Steve, because I'm slightly toasted, and this is on topic with cake. You are married. Let me ask you: when you got married, did you save a piece of your wedding cake to eat in your first anniversary?
Yes.
Did you? Oh, you did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you save it and then eat it on your first anniversary?
I believe so.
Okay.
That was a long time ago.
I had a TARDIS cake for my 40th birthday, and I took the cake piece off the TARDIS off, and it's still in our fridge. But I'm going to tell the story because did you hear about this guy? And I don't know where this is. This was a couple months ago. His mother died, and he was cleaning out her house, including her refrigerator. And he thought it was maybe an old piece of wedding cake or something. It was just this old something wrapped in a bag. He took it out, and it was a dead baby.
What the? Why did you?
I just heard this on a podcast just today. I'm like, oh my god, that is so.
Why are you bringing that up here?
You've got to be kidding me, because it's murder. It's not murder. The baby wasn't murdered, and they think that what happened was she had maybe a miscarriage.
A miscarriage.
The package had been in the freezer his whole life, and that maybe she had a miscarriage at home and kept the baby in the freezer and didn't tell anybody about it.
Why?
Because it's interesting, and I'm a little drunk right now. And
okay, let's.
I like to. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm stalling because I like to talk about the episode as I'm watching it, and I'm still behind on the part that we're talking about. So
you're making this thing up about the.
No, I'm not making it up. You can Google it. A guy really did find a dead baby in his mom's. I mean, I could see there's people that keep dead cats.
Okay, so Columbo at this ribbon cutting for this adult rec center. I'm not even sure what that is. What's an adult rec center? Is that like for weights? Yeah, weights and stuff. Pool tables.
It's a Milo Janis offshoot. Yeah. What do they watch like adult rec? I immediately think it's like a Plato's playground or whatever that they used to have back in the day. Remember that?
No,
that was before our time, but you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so
right?
yeah, so Columbo takes the opportunity to talk to Linda, and this is where I think he starts to pick up on. I think earlier he suspects there's something going on between Linda and Hayward, but I think here he's able to pick up that there's something going on. Mm-hmm. There's a love affair going on. And I think he even says something to the effect that, "Oh, you're not his secretary," because he's asking questions, and she says, "Well, Hayward's secretary will know, but aren't you the secretary?" But I think that's when he pieces it together, and he says something towards the end like, "Well, isn't he lucky to have you?" Yeah, and that's I think she gives him kind of a glance out of the corner of her eye, but yeah.
Well, this episode is interesting in that there's a couple scenes where he, instead of talking to the murderer about it, he's talking to a third person about it, an incriminating clue. And there's a really good clue in that conversation. He asks her if she sent out the invitations for the surprise birthday party for Victoria.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I can't remember if she did or not, but it's not important. She didn't. And he thought it was remarkable that Harry Stone didn't get an invitation. Now, I personally don't think it's so remarkable because I think that Harry Stone, I would not want to spend any time around Harry Stone. Harry Stone makes my blood curdle. And I think that I'm going to agree with Linda, who she used the word repugnant to describe him to his face. I wouldn't want Harry Stone at my wife's birthday party.
No.
I mean,
wouldn't either.
If you had a birthday party for your wife, would you invite your coworkers?
That was really close, but no.
Yeah. So it's a good clue, but it's not a good clue at the same time if you think about it. Even though she did supposedly know Harry Stone for years and years, like maybe. Yeah.
So a Missouri man says he found baby body in mother's freezer.
Yeah.
CNN.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
What I heard on the podcast was that it was his older sister. But the news articles that I found online did not confirm that the baby was his sister, that it was just a dead baby.
Creepy.
People do fucking fucked up things, even though they're not like murderers. You know what I mean? We live in a very strange world.
So we get a nice little comedic scene next with Columbo in his car. And I like that the scene starts off with the car like blowing out like a really thick cloud of smoke out of the exhaust pipe. I don't know if you noticed that. It's real quick. So he gets pulled over. I guess there's some kind of police initiative where they have they don't call it a roadblock. What do they call it when they just stop people in traffic?
They pull you over, roadblock.
Is it a roadblock? There's a name for it though. But anyways, so he gets pulled over. Police want him to. I guess they're checking his headlights and windshield wipers. I don't know. I mean, is it? What is that? Did they do that back then?
I don't know. Did they? I don't remember. But did they say that his inspection was overdue?
Did they have inspection stickers back then?
Don't know. It's the forefront in my mind right now because mine's a month late. But I don't know because clearly his car would fail emissions testing.
Oh yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. And they check your windshield wipers and everything. Because I remember I had to replace my windshield wipers one time. But what I love is he turns the windshield wipers on, and they're like, and he says, "Oh, I must have lost one in the car wash."
It obviously hasn't been in a car wash. I like how the officer says, "Is this a department car?" Oh no, it's my car.
Is this the? And forgive me, I don't remember, and I'm getting scenes of the car. Is this where he actually says? So they say to him, you may want to think about getting a new car.
Yes,
And
I did bring. Yeah, so this line has come up multiple times, and I couldn't tell you all of them. I know it's more than the two I'm about to reference. So obviously, tonight's episode was also an Etude in Black. So yeah, someone will say, "Well, you should get another car," or "I suggest you buy another car instead of getting it fixed." Right? Mm-hmm. And his response is always the same. It's, "I got another car. My wife drives it, but it's nothing special. It's just transportation." Transportation. Yeah. It's like there's at least 2 episodes, but I know it's in more. Episodes.
I have to. This is a few episodes ago that we talked about this, but since I just edited it yesterday, it's in the forefront of my mind. This is funny. Mrs. Columbo taking the car to the mechanic and getting a $5,000 bill is not funny. It's funny when it's impromptu and it's almost like, it was a really good scene. It was really funny, and it is the type of scene that they would put in one of these longer episodes as filler, but it works anyway. It's you don't mind the filler.
It doesn't really do anything. It's just more of just a break in the murder mystery itself. It has no. He's asking one of the officers where a street is. I forget what the street name is, but that doesn't really. It's not necessary to progress the plot at all.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun. It's endearing. Yeah.
And for the most part, Columbo does that really well, where they'll have scenes that have nothing to do with the plot. The scene with the tailor, obviously, like 3/4 of it is him talking about the bowling banquet and looking at patterns and stuff like that. And the scene concludes with him realizing, though, you can't order a suit. It has to be at least 10 days.
Right.
We have that little tiny bit of information. What's so masterful is that he could have just made a phone call or had a quick conversation. How long do I have to wait for a suit? 10 days. Instead, they have this wonderful conversation that's really well written about patterns and my wife's bowling banquet and we saw the same thing, I think, in Negative Reaction with the Larry Storch scene, which is fantastic.
Yes. So So was Larry Storch right when about his driving? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Mr. Weekly. His name was Mr. Weekly.
The part where he just loses. He goes, "Pull over, pull over, pull over." Oh man! Oh, I'm gonna have a little bit more to drink. I just love.
And during this inspection, Columbo says something like, "Oh, I just had a tune-up like 2 months ago." and then when the officer asks for his license, so he pulls it out of his glove compartment. But there's also it's like a door handle that's also I'm not sure what it is.
That's
good
right.
stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
That's funny.
So yeah,
That's
so
just
he's
it's a door handle. That don't mean anything.
so the cops write him up a thing he's got to get fixed in 2 weeks or whatever, and so we see now Columbo's driving a huge tow truck.
Oh yes, this is right. Yes, that's right. I forgot about this scene.
And he's timing himself from the beach house to, where he can get within 7 minutes. Was it? I'm trying to remember how did he come up with 7 minutes? Because that's how long it would have taken.
It was the time that the police got the phone call from Hayward saying, "If you want to check on Hayward, find out. Go to his beach house. You'll find out what's left."
Oh yeah, it would have been 7 minutes after the death.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was 7 minutes. I said 3 minutes earlier, but it was 7 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there was nothing within 7 minutes from the location where there was no payphone, no gas station.
But
nothing.
there is a gas station.
Yeah, that's where he goes to get his car fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Then, we find out, that. Why did they give him that tow truck? I mean, he was obviously having difficulty driving it.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, I don't. Well, I think maybe he flashed his badge. I don't know. It's a good question.
But so he returns the truck. He tips the mechanic for allowing him to borrow the truck for a little while, and then he finds out he owes $65.25 for the repairs to his car, which he tells the guy, "So I don't have a credit card, or do you take checks?" And I forgot how the conversation plays out, but the mechanic says, he goes, "Oh, I'm a cop. Do you take checks?" And the mechanic says, "Oh, are you undercover?" Because he's like eyeing him up and down while he's dressed like a slob. He goes, "No, but I'm underpaid."
Okay. Well, okay, so when I was a kid, when I say a kid, like maybe like a young teenager watching the show for the first time, in Chicago in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a... is it UTV station? This is before everybody had cable. It was Channel 66, and they were the channel that aired Columbo like once a week. And I would try to record it depending on how well the reception was. Sometimes it didn't come in that well. I remember I recorded the Ricardo Montalban episode. It just looked totally shitty, and they would always air commercials for Columbo during the week. This is before A&E picked it up and played it like. They would play like 4 episodes a day. They would play Columbo and the Avengers, which is how I got into the Avengers. And they would show that on the commercial. What are you, undercover or something? No, I'm underpaid. I think it's funny. I'm sorry. I still think it's funny. I did look up. He says, "Oh, do you have a counter check?" And
what is that? What is a counter check?
I looked it up, and as far as I can tell, it's the same as a cashier's check. But I think that nowadays that's what it is. But I think that probably what it was. Have you ever opened up a checking account? And they don't do this nowadays. And they don't have your checks printed yet. But they give you these checks where you can fill in your account number on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think that's what a counter check may have been.
Oh.
Somebody was probably going to email us about that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it until now.
ColumboConfab@gmail.com. So next, he shows up at Hayward's house, where his wife's there, as well as a television crew, and I guess some of Hayward's aides. And did you recognize anybody in this scene?
No.
Oh, Steve! Ah!
What? Who?
Mike Lally is in this scene.
Oh, of course he is. I should have guessed that.
By the time we are done with this podcast, I want you to be the person that says, "Hey, that's Mike Lally. I want you to initiate the foreplay. Just for once, Steve. Just for once." Or I'm going to quiz you at the end and say, "Steve, where was Mike Lally in this episode?"
No. Okay. Don't put me under pressure, please.
And you're gonna write it down. You're gonna write it down, Steve.
I am now.
Okay.
Okay, so Columbo, he's in there. He's in the room with a box. We don't know what's in the box.
Which is terrifying, because that's normally when he's going to come and get you.
Right. We know it's not a baby infant in a freezer. Did you see the picture online? They actually showed a picture of what it looked like in the freezer. Now, you can't see the body or anything, but it was next to a banquet pot pie.
Yes, I've seen that picture. See, now you're totally into that fucking story. See, I told you it consumed me the same way it's consuming you right now. You can't stop thinking about it, can you? Like, where
would you ever eat anything? Oh my god, could you imagine? That was there the whole time he was growing up, right? So he probably had ice cream that was touching it.
Yeah. And now he's like traumatized, like his poor dead mother. Like, what secrets was she hiding?
Oh, horrible. Okay, so yes, Columbo does not have a frozen infant in this box, thank God. But
I'm trying to say something funny about that, and oddly enough, I come out blank. But okay.
Yeah, so I think Hayward is on that Columbo suspects him, and he's the primary
yes,
suspect.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and so Hayward even kind of like challenges him, like, I'm here for you. If you want to talk, we can talk about anything at any time, whatever you want to talk about. And I was thinking Columbo's going to take you up on that.
Yeah,
that was the worst thing. I mean, not talk about the case. He'll just talk to you about anything, like, his aunt's niece, how she kept a frozen baby in a freezer.
But what's really great about the scene is they go out to the swimming pool in the back where they're filming the commercial for Hayward.
Yes. And, I like this.
Yes, yeah, it's really good because Columbo's like, well, if the murderer called the police at 9:27, if he killed Stone at 9:20 and then called the police at 9:27, I don't know where he made the phone call from.
Yeah.
Apparently, they couldn't trace phone calls back.
Well, and he also finds out at the gas station that the gas station closed early that night.
Yes, and that's the reveal. Because Hayward's like, well, there's a gas station, He goes, nope, it closed early, ran out of gas. And Hayward's like dumbfounded, like,
Yeah. Well, and he also throws out and goes, about your jacket, I have a problem with your jacket. And Hayward's like, well, what specifically?
Right,
and he goes, well, it takes 10 days to get a jacket, but you received your jacket just days after the murder. Maybe it was the next day. How did you order a jacket not knowing, and he had actually a pretty legitimate excuse for Columbo,
but that's the first thing he tells him, and when he, and then Hayward just starts to crumble during the conversation. By the time that he brings up the clue about the gas station being closed, Hayward's so distracted that he can't properly do his commercial.
Yeah. And then of course he sees Columbo talking to his wife, and his wife seems really engaged with Columbo. And did you notice though that if you pause, you can see what's on the cue cards, and what's on the cue cards is not what Hayward is saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what's on the cue cards?
Well, I didn't write it down, but I mean, it's the general topic, but Hayward's not reading the cue cards, obviously. So,
and the conversation between Columbo and Victoria is really, really organic and natural. She's doing the actress, and I'm so sorry I don't remember her name or I didn't write it down, but the conversation that she has with her, like in this box. Okay, these are Harry Stone's shoes. This is his coat. And she's like, oh, yeah, Harry was like that. He liked really practical things. He was a very practical man. And then he takes out the watch that Hayward put on Stone when he killed him. He's like, is this a stone that he would wear? I'm sorry, not a stone. Shit. Is this a watch that Mr. Stone would wear?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, not at all. No. And he said, well, what about this watch? And what I love is there's a scene where he takes the other watch, the sturdy watch, and smashes it against the patio pole, much to her consternation because they're filming a commercial a few feet away. And she's like, oh, that would be a little bit more like his style. Mm-hmm. And then he leaves, and Hayward doesn't lose it, but Hayward is extremely stressed out by Columbo's presence at this point.
Yeah.
He
knows he's on his trail now. I mean,
there's no question about it. Columbo knows that it's him. I mean, he knows that Columbo knows that it's him, and his wife is upset, and he's like, "Don't worry, baby, I'll make it better. I'll make it better, baby." And I'm thinking, "Don't talk to her that way, you asshole. You're sticking your dick in her secretary."
So Hayward is now he's gonna have to do something to get the trail or get Columbo off his tail or trail or whatever the word is. But he's got to do something. He's got to set something up, and that's where Columbo catches him basically. So it's the day of the election.
Stupid man. I'm sorry, I can't help. He fucked up. So keep going. I'm sorry.
So yeah, he basically has Linda unknowingly smuggle in a gun with a silencer into his hotel room, where there's a bunch of people, the police officers, in the room across the hall, all watching him, making sure he's safe. But he goes into a room to make a private call.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we back up like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Linda comes in with the briefcase that has the gun in it, and then as Linda's leaving, Victoria comes in. And you can tell that now...
Well, no. The gun's not in the briefcase.
I'm sorry, how did the gun get in there?
It is in the jacket. Because remember, they searched the briefcase.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right.
But he does get it out of the room.
Okay.
He puts the gun in the briefcase to get it out. But, no, yeah, so she doesn't... I did say she smuggled it. That's not true. He smuggled the gun in his coat. So, my bad.
So he says that he's going to make a phone call in the... I don't know what you call this motel room, this hotel room. Like, it's not an office. It's because his campaign office is... I don't know what you would call it. But he says, I'm going to go make a phone call in the office, but it's not really an office because hotels don't have offices. He goes in there for a little while, and what he does is he stands out in the patio, and he fires a bullet through the patio sliding doors into the wall. Close by where he would be sitting if he was on the phone. And then what does he do with the gun? I can't remember.
Okay, so that's when he puts the gun into the briefcase, gives it back to Linda, and he asks, "Go take this back to the office and put it in the safe."
Okay, all right, cool. I did not.
Right, so he's able to get it out, so that I guess when they search for a gun, there will be no gun. So yeah, the bullet goes through the glass, goes into the wall, and then he kind of covers.
Oh wait! Going back a little bit, he does indeed fabricate a note to him that says, "If you don't drop out of an election, you'll be dead." And he shows it to Linda to add credence to this whole stupid bullshit scheme that he has. That was fluff. Maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned it, but keep going.
Right. So. Yeah, he gets her to report the it's not a ransom note, it's more of a threat letter, right? Yeah, so where were we?
It's not a ransom letter. It's so he and his wife go out to vote. He makes jokes to the press. They're having a party in the suite there.
Oh, but this is the scene. I'm sorry, the scene when he gives Linda the briefcase to get the gun out of the hotel. That's where he's handing it to Linda, and Vicky walks in, and she sees the interaction. So right away, she's like, "Okay, I know what's going on here." Yeah. So, but yeah, there's a party, and I guess it's interesting. The election seems to be pretty close, but I would say I was trying to count the numbers as they were reading them off the radio or the TV. And it sounded like almost double the amount of votes were going towards Hayward over Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounded like he was going to win it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never paid attention to that before, but that's a good point.
Yeah, so he's destined to win. We also get to see Lucy again. Now, Lucy is one of the elderly women that was at the birthday party earlier in the episode.
Oh, that lady. Yeah. Oh, how you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, she got body searched. Oh. And what is she?
I have never noticed this before. I have seen this many times. I've never noticed this before. But what did she say?
The police officer, because they have a female officer to do the body search for women, obviously. But the male officer is bringing her into the party or the room with the party, and he apologizes. And she goes, "Well, I wouldn't have minded if it had been in you instead of her." And the police officer just has this goofy smile on his face.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
all right.
I would, if it was me, I would have gone. Just start gagging.
Could you imagine if a man said that to the lady police officer? That's so gross. But for some reason, when an old lady says it, it's laughable. It's Mae West. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, why am I saying this? Okay, so, but it would be creepy. It would be creepy if If an older man said that. Anyway,
it would have been
really
very
don't want me
creepy.
to talk about this, do you? Okay, keep going.
But no. Okay, so Hayward again excuses himself to make a call.
Mm-hmm.
He has a firecracker. What does he do with the firecracker when he sets that off?
I thought the exact same thing. They're going to see the firecracker, but I
Does he
would
throw it over
understand.
the-
I would understand
Yeah.
how they wouldn't see it because it's such a furtive moment. But keep going.
But yeah, so he lights a firecracker. It makes a pop sound. So all the cops draw their guns, go running into.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how everybody, and I mean everybody in the party, goes running into the room. Now, if you heard a gunshot, don't you think most people would be running away from the sound?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
All these morons are running into that small little bedroom. Anyways, so yeah, the cops have their guns drawn and people are running in. It's just chaos, utter chaos. And of course Hayward is like, "Oh, it just happened." I don't know where he was supposed to go. Was he supposed to jump out of the 10th floor balcony? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, there was the assassin obviously had some Spider-Man technique here that, but the cops do say let's investigate the suite next door right away because the person could have climbed over from the suite next door.
Yeah.
I've seen it in movies, but if I see it in movies,
And then Hayward points the hole in the wall, and Columbo comes in.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Oh, it is, and
It is absolutely wonderful.
Columbo starts, they get everybody out, and Columbo basically says, "I think I think you set this up." And of course, they were like, "How dare you? This is an insult."
Yeah.
Once he starts going over the facts, like does that the bullet hole does that align with the hole in the wall? And he goes over all these facts. And Columbo goes, yes. And he goes, and I bet you if you find that bullet, it'll match the same caliber of gun that killed Stone. And he goes, all you have to do is just go dig out the bullet out of the hole in the wall. And Columbo's going, I've already done that. And you find it. Yeah, what you find out is at one point, Hayward and his wife leave to go vote earlier, and he has the sergeant call him whenever they leave, right? So as soon as they leave, Columbo then goes into the room, just kind of snoops around, but finds the bullet hole.
Yeah.
And pulls out the bullet 3 hours before the actual assassination attempt.
And he does this because he notices that the phone... Well, it's the phone call. Hayward said he was going to make a phone call in his office, but the little light on the phone, on the central phone system, doesn't light up. And what's fun is if you go back and look at it, when somebody tells Columbo, oh, he's going to make a phone call in his office, Columbo sits down on the couch, or he kind of lays down on the couch, and just stops and looks at the phone, which is innocuous when you don't know, but when you look back and watch it again, and that's how he knew that he, as Columbo said, I don't know what the hell you were doing in here. But the reveal is really good, and we don't have this kind of time, but if we were going to do like the top 5 Columbo getting the murderer gotcha scenes, this is up there. I mean, this is pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good, and because there's no way. I mean, this isn't like, what's his name? God damn it, Jack Cassidy in Murder by the Book. Oh, he happened to write down a similar murder plot, and that's not going to put Jack Cassidy away. That's not solid proof. This is fucking solid proof. This is it. I mean, with the ballistics. It fired from the same gun, and the fact that he digged it out of the wall before Hayward was in there, it's a done deal. It's ironclad evidence that Hayward is the murderer, and it ends with Columbo actually saying, "I'm sorry." It ends with Columbo actually saying, well, "You're under arrest, sir, for murder," and then that's it. We just see his reaction, and that's all. He doesn't even get to say anything. I'm sorry. What were we going to say?
Well, do you think he served time? Like we like to ask that question here on the Confab. Do you think he got away with it?
I'm going to ask you first, because I think I have the definitive answer, but because I thought about it, I thought about this for a while.
I have no idea. I don't know. It seems like he would have the ability to get out of it. I don't know if I think his political career would be over for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that there is no pun intended, smoking gun evidence that he's the murderer. Obviously. I mean, it's...
Well, the bullet would have matched the same bullet.
Yes.
Ballistics would have identified that.
Yeah. This is the problem. Assuming Hayward's hired a smart lawyer, and I'm sure he can afford a smart lawyer. Mm-hmm. I don't practice criminal law, and I'm not a smart lawyer, but I can tell you right now that the argument would be, did Columbo have a warrant to go in that room and dig a bullet out of the wall? Now, this is a great question because it's almost like a law school question, because Columbo, as a member of the police, sort of has, like, he has the run of the place. He can go wherever he wants. Yeah. And if you don't have a warrant and you go someplace and it's in plain sight, like if you are going to go to somebody for a domestic disturbance, you knock on their door, they open the door, and there's cocaine on their coffee table, you can arrest them for that cocaine. It's called the plain sight doctrine. Did Columbo, though, have the right to go into that office, which presumably is a private office, and do that snooping? So I think that's where, if Hayward gets out, or gets off, but I'll tell you, even if he gets off, it's going to be like fucking O.J. Simpson for him. His fucking career is ruined. Yeah. Davis, or whoever his opponent is going to win. Is obviously going to win the election by default. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Is there anything you want to add before we go and have a word from our sponsors?
No.
Okay. All right, we're gonna cut to commercial, and we'll be back.
All right.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
At Jackie Cooper Tint and Electronics, our motto is that we give the customer more than they expect. So here it is. For just $99, we'll tint the windows of any car. $99? That's unheard of. Call us today to schedule your appointment.
And we're back. All right, Steve. Now, we're going to rate Candidate for Crime. I did not keep track of the stories, the numbers in the story, but why don't you tell us what number we're rating this out of?
Yes, so a lot of numbers, lots. Like hotel suite numbers, we had a lot of time that was spilled out. What else do we see a lot of? Just a lot of numbers in general. But I decided to go with the really obscure thing here. The thing that kind of struck me as interesting and different about this episode was when Columbo showed up in this episode, and it was 1 minute and 34 seconds in from the start of the episode.
Oh, so
that's got to be a record. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So out of
no, it's not a record. It's broken by Make Me a Perfect Murder, where he has the car crash, and also Murder a Self-Portrait, where he's at the Basset Hound convention.
Oh, right. So
you don't care.
1 minute. I do remember 1 minute 34 seconds. So what would you rate this, Sean, out of 134?
I think you went first last time. So. Is it?
Yeah. I'll go first, Vaughn. I don't care.
You go ahead. You go first.
All right. Out of 134, I'm going to give this a 45.
No fucking way.
I did not like this one.
Why?
I'm sorry. Just like the watches that kept getting broken or kept getting referenced, I kept looking at the time during this whole episode. I just didn't feel it. I was really excited because it was an episode I've never seen before. I gotta tell you, I did not enjoy this. Yes, there were some good moments. I like the humor with the humor scenes that had nothing to do with the plot itself, like with the car and going to the tailor, Vito Scotti scene. There was some humor with the mechanic, I like the reveal at the end that Columbo had already pulled the bullet out, but I don't know. This was a very forgettable episode for me. I just didn't enjoy it. Sorry.
Well, let me tell you. Let's start with the bad. There's something that I didn't like about this episode, and that was Jackie Cooper. I don't think that he had, as an actor, I can't put my finger on it, but
may he rest in peace. Go on.
May he rest in peace. I don't. There is something about him that I can't put my finger on that does, for some reason, like, doesn't make him a Columbo murderer. I didn't like him. Excuse me. But I thought everything else was fucking perfect in this. I can't believe that you don't like it. I think that this is damn near close to a perfect Columbo episode. So I mean, you have great clues.
Really?
You have great clues. You have great scenes between Columbo and the murderer. You've got great filler scenes, mainly the car inspection stuff. You've got interactions between third parties who aren't the murderer, like Linda and Victoria. And I think it's just really, really solid. And I think the only weak point is Jackie Cooper, who always seems to have the same tone. And whether he's, talking to Harry Stone in the beginning or whether he's talking to Columbo later on, the only way that he changes his tone, is the how quickly he talks. And so that's my only like complaint about it. He was pretty good, but I think that it was extremely stupid of him, however, to do that stunt at the end that eventually put him away. There's no way you're going to get away from that, dude. I mean, he's going up for this murder. And I really like that about when I walk away from a Columbo episode knowing that there's solid proof that person is the murderer, and we didn't even have him do a confession where he's like,
yeah,
it was that solid. Because sometimes when it's not that solid, you have the murderer say something that indicates that he or she did it, and
Well,
so,
like you said, he probably didn't get away with it, but his life's over. His wife left him.
Yeah,
his political career is over. Yeah.
He's done. He's practicing personal injury law in Albuquerque from here on in. He's going to be Better Call Saul. So what was the number again?
134.
I'm going to give this a 125.
Wow.
I think this may be in my top something. Maybe in my top 5. I don't know. I have to sit down.
Get out. Are you serious?
I really, really like this. I love this. And I think the conversation between Columbo and Hayward in his office not at the beginning, but when he talks about the clue with the light is great. I think it's pretty damn perfect. I like it as much as I like Negative Reaction, which we also talked about. And
that was a good one. Yeah,
for me, those 3 episodes, Negative Reaction, Now You See Him, and Candidate for Crime, I feel like that's a trifecta right there.
Interesting.
I just don't like him for some reason. His method of acting or something.
That didn't bother me. I just found the story very plain and boring.
Well, you said at one point that you don't like. Well, this isn't about politics, though. It's about fucking murder. And
politics do bore me. I mean, that may have a lot to do with it, but just in general, there's only one other episode that I will knowingly rank lower than this that I truly hate, and we have yet to review it. So I can't wait until we get to it.
Okay. So, wait, where's my? So next we have got a little bit of feedback here.
Mm-hmm.
Future Sean's going to cut this part out.
Now, for frozen banquet dinners, this has got to be horrible advertising.
What? Oh, are you talking about that still?
I'm looking at, and she's got a bag of frozen meatballs. I hate those. Oh, they're gross.
Are they Swedish meatballs?
No, I recognize the bag, but it's little frozen meatballs that you just cook. They're so gross. They're disgusting. As an Italian, I'm offended. But anyways.
Well, we buy meatballs from Costco that are frozen, and they're pretty... Okay, I better not go there. Okay.
But all right. So the banquet company's just got to love the fact that they're front and center in front of this. Oh, God. Someone's going to make a meme or something out of that.
So we're going to go through some really good feedback that I really like a lot. This first one is from Leland, who actually we have met at Gallifrey. He was a Doctor Who fan. Oh, he is a Doctor Who fan, and he started listening to our podcast and started watching Columbo because of it.
Wow,
Maybe I should just read the email. He He said, I recently binged a dozen or so episodes to catch up with the podcast. I listened to a lot of People Talk About Show or Movie X podcasts, but yours is one of the few I refuse to listen to until I watch the episode.
Oh.
Watching old Columbo episodes, it occurs to me that modern American mysteries fall into two distinct eras. The pre-O.J. Simpson era and the post-O.J. Simpson era. Prior to the O.J. trial, mysteries were primarily concerned with identifying the culprit. The evidence used to discover the perpetrator was assumed to be enough to convict them. But after the O.J. trial, the audience now operates under the assumption that anyone with wealth and means will have a variety of loopholes and legal trickery to skirt around even the clearest of evidence. Law & Order premiered in 1990, but it doesn't become a sensation until 94 and 95, the same year as the trial. Soon after, the traditional mystery genre is largely supplanted by legal dramas such as The Practice and JAG, or shows like CSI that obsess over physical evidence, another field sensationalized by the O.J. trial. The O.J. Simpson trial completely dominated LA media in the mid-90s. It would have been impossible for anyone to show business... it would have been impossible for anyone in show business to avoid it. I think it had a transformative effect. Your thoughts? I have thoughts. I think, for the most part, I agree with this. I think that, at least in television, we've lost the essence of what I like to call a cozy mystery. Mm-hmm. Columbo, a cozy mystery, a classic cozy mystery is Agatha Christie's Miss Marple, where she's not a cop. She just goes to, a dinner party where someone's murdered and she's able to solve it. Very much like Murder, She Wrote, which is obviously pre-O.J. Simpson. We have...
Second time you've brought him up tonight. Interesting.
Really? Okay. Well, we now have... You rattled my thoughts. Now, he's right. We all have, it's forensic files. We have cold case files. We have a lot of true crime shows. And it's not about the clues and the locked room mysteries than it is about forensics and let's look at this fingerprint, let's look at this fiber, that type of thing. And I really wish, and I really thought that a couple of years ago when the Murder on the Orient Express movie came out, that there would be sort of this resurgence of Agatha Christie and more people would read her books.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of young people still read Agatha Christie. And folks, if you want to get into Agatha Christie, let me give you your entry drug. Read And Then There Were None. If you want to read a really good cozy mystery with a bunch of people sitting in a house and trying to solve a mystery. And that's a really good, what I would call, locked door mystery, or in this case, a locked house mystery, where they're trapped in a house and they have to figure out who the murderer is because they're all being killed one by one. And it's not a slasher. So I think we're missing that, at least in American culture. Do you have any thoughts to add to that? Or
not really. I don't watch a lot of modern TV. Most things I see. I don't watch broadcast TV. I watch a lot of things on Netflix and Prime and stuff like that. So I see what you're saying, and it sounds very good. I just don't really watch any of the modern shows whatever I don't even know what they're called.
CSI,
the CSIs, and there's multiples,
Detroit,
right?
CSI,
New York, and
fucking.
I just don't watch
Indiana.
those. I just don't care to watch those. I don't know. It just doesn't interest me.
I used to be into them, and then they became. I used to like them because it was almost like there would be they would be how do you call it, episodic, where like Columbo, where it would just be a mystery per episode, and then they started getting into story arcs, and it just started getting kind of dumb, kind of like Doctor Who. All right, so we now have a very good email from somebody from Ray Knight. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have said your last name, sir, but it does say Ray Knight Casting Social Media. He says, "Hi, Steve and Sean. First of all, what a great podcast. I totally love it. Where have you been all my life?"
Well,
I've been drunk. Okay. He says, I've been a Columbo fan as far back as I can remember, and here in the UK we have regular, almost weekly reruns, which I'm more than happy to watch over and over again. Yes! That is I don't get it! I don't understand why... I do understand why, if it's always on, why Brits are into it. And I think that if it was more accessible to American audiences, more people would be into it.
You think? I don't know. I mean, it's on Me Too, right? Isn't that a channel? A cable
it's on
channel?
Me Too and Cozy, but it's not repeated as much. I'm actually very surprised.
It's on Me Too? Has that a hashtag Me Too? Or?
Did I say Me Too?
Yeah.
Or is that the actual name of the channel?
I don't know. I don't think it's called Me Too.
I think it's called Cozy. But anyway.
Okay.
I follow there's a Facebook group and people who don't watch it a lot or they just watch it on TV post a lot of questions that you can tell they're noobs. And I'm very polite. I'm not like a nasty video gamer, and I just read it. Anyway, he says, I've been Columbo fan. Excuse me. As for your podcast, I just discovered it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm playing catch up. Last night I listened to your episode entitled An Exercise in Fatality. You guys are totally the best, and I laughed all the way through.
Oh, good.
You're both spot on with your analysis, and you make rewatching the episodes even better.
Really?
Keep up the great work, please, and hopefully you'll cover all the Columbo episodes. We will.
Yeah, we plan to. I always found it interesting. You said something earlier about it being on every multiple times in Europe or England at least. But I'm really surprised by how popular the show is in Europe in general. Like what we were just talking about the other weekend about there's a statue. What did we say? It was in Budapest or something like that.
Yes.
That is so. I mean, you looked up why, but it's just very bizarre. I'm surprised that an American TV program from the 70s, admittedly, it did get to the 90s as well, but it's still so popular on the other side of the ocean. It's just fascinating.
And the first Columbo podcast, which was called The Columbo Podcast, was actually hosted by two Scottish guys, I believe. So, yeah, I have always wondered about that. I think that it's because is Cozy officially a cable channel? Because we can get it here and we don't have cable.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know. He says, keep up the great work, please, and hopefully you'll cover all the Columbo episodes. Just one more thing. Why are all the Robert Vaughn episodes so crap? Oh, my goodness. Well, Al, I believe I would like you up until there. I don't think that Robert Vaughn episodes are that crap. We have Troubled Waters and Last Salute to the Commodore. Both.
Well, he wasn't. Well, Troubled Waters was not. Well, no. What was the one where he's in the car where he died? Where he's basically we think he's the killer, but he's not. Was that Troubled Waters?
Last Salute to the Commodore. Yeah.
That was Last Salute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bizarre for him in that episode because you kind of suspected he was the killer when it was his wife, but
it was good. That was
dying in the middle of it, and yeah.
There's not a lot of online Columbo fandom, but that episode gets a lot of hate, and I think that we both liked it. I really enjoyed it.
I thought a lot of people liked it.
No,
really?
I think it's the other way around. Yeah, people don't like it. But
what is different?
Thanks again, Steve and Sean. Keep them coming.
It tisn't.
It isn't. Well, that part was dumb. But everything else before that was okay. All right, so we have an email from Caleb Holmquist. Oh, gosh, okay. You're really going to like this. Caleb, I happen to know, was a former listener of the Tartar's Tavern, and when I announced that we were going to be leaving that show, he expressed great discern. He was very upset. And
we left that show?
Why? Who are
Is it officially dead?
Yeah. Who are you doing the TARDIS Tavern with there, Steve? Are you doing the TARDIS Tavern tango without me?
No. I didn't know it was officially announced that. Oh, whatever. Go on.
It was.
It was?
Now they're no longer available. They're no longer available unless you publish them to YouTube, Steve. I thought about that. Okay. Oh, actually, he entitled this on the subject line, Columbo Confed Feedback, Attention, Steve.
Oh, no.
Okay. Hey, Sean and Steve, I'll try not to let this run on too long, but I'm a little drunk. Prepare yourself, Sean.
Oh boy.
So I just recently watched Murder by Death, after Sean mentioned it in one of the earlier episodes. And boy, it was definitely something. Okay, wait, I have to pause this and explain. Not the last time you came to visit Steve, but the time before that, I introduced Steve to Murder by Death, which is a 1970s comedy written by Neil Simon.
Yes.
That stars Peter Falk, Peter Sellers, Maggie Smith, Truman Capote,
yep.
David Niven, and a fuck ton of other people that I can't remember their names.
Peter Sellers. Did you say Peter Sellers?
I did say Peter Sellers.
Okay.
And it's a great. It's kind of like Clue, except a little bit more politically incorrect. And we watched it just for the very fact that Peter Falk was in it.
Yeah, and it came out before Clue too, right?
Oh yeah,
10 years at least.
Yeah, definitely. Clue was 85, Murder by Death was 1970 something. So he says, I just recently watched Murder by Death after Sean mentioned it, and boy, it was definitely something. Right off the bat, it's got an amazing cast. Besides Peter Falk, we have David Niven, Maggie Smith, Peter Sellers, Truman frickin' Capote.
Yep.
And it had this odd Agatha Christie's parody vibe going, and Peter Falk was playing this wacky, bogey-esque detective.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but wonder if you guys would be interested in covering it as a bonus episode. I mean, Peter Falk is certainly not Columbo here, and the type of detective he's parodying is definitely not Columbo, but he's still playing a detective. And to be fair, the Columbo from Prescription Murder certainly feels like a very different character as well. And hey, if you really need a Columbo in there somewhere, it was released by Columbia Pictures. Columbo. Hey, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it. Don't boo our listeners' email.
That was horrible.
And Murder by Death sounds like it should have been a Columbo episode anyway.
Yeah.
Could have been the 70s version of Ashes to Ashes and had Vincent Price playing the mortician. I read that before and I forgot it. Could you imagine? They made Ashes to Ashes with Patrick McGowan in the 70s and Vincent Price played the mortician. I would die. I would die. I would go back in time as a like a Universal producer.
That's one of the actors I'm surprised to not have more episodes, more Columbo episodes to him. Oh my god!
And it wasn't like he was above doing TV because he was in an episode, you know. Mm-hmm. I took my glasses off while we were talking. Okay.
About makeup.
He says, God, I'm sad they didn't actually make that.
Yeah.
But moving away from that, I also have some quote unquote brief comments on Dead Weight. Man, Eddie Albert played a great murderer in this. Such a shame he did only the one episode. Yeah. I really liked the dynamic he had with Columbo, and I especially enjoyed all the stuff with him manipulating the eyewitness. Mm-hmm. And just on her, one of the more memorable side characters I've seen from the show so far. Such a sad, optimistic, abused character. I thought Suzanne Pleshette did great in the role. Oh God, and what a mother! And that mother was a total monster. If anyone deserved the fucking axe this time around, I mean, goddamn. But anyway, came away really liking this episode. Oh, and Steve, I don't normally have your back in this regard, but that moment Helen had with Columbo about the niece at the end, it's probably the best evidence I've seen for your side of the aisle so far. Definitely still not swayed. Pretty sure he has a wife. That's definitely a persuasive line for your argument. Anyway, sorry for the long one, fellows. That's what she said. Happy drinking. And don't forget the number one lesson Columbo has to teach us all. Rich people are degenerate murderers and are likely to kill you.
Just like politicians.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see if Caleb just watched Columbo because we were doing a podcast on it, or since he's in the UK, he was more familiar with it. And I would love Caleb if you actually started watching this show because we did a podcast of it. But anyway, yeah, I hope it. Oh shit! I took my glasses off again, like to make a point, and now I got one more to.
Who are you making a point to? I mean, you're on a podcast, and we can see you.
Okay. Well, no. Columbo. Okay. So this is Apple podcast feedback, and this brought us up to 64 ratings. And folks, if you're still listening to this, and I think that you are, because some of you, according to Apple analytics, some of you are listening to the podcast and then going back and listening to more of it.
Wow.
Mistakenly or not, I don't know. But we got, the other day, somebody left us some feedback. It was by Plucky Pluciano. They say, great show, guys. I give it a 68 out of 68, which is the number of Columbo episodes. I think there are 69. Anyway, that's okay. Don't be offended. It's okay. Hey, can you cover Murder by Death at some point?
What?
Not a Columbo episode, but fun Peter Falk movie where he plays Sam Diamond and dresses similar to Lieutenant Lucerne from the Fade into Murder episode. Is this person maybe the same as Caleb? I don't know. But yeah, we do enjoy Murder by Death, and
it's funny. Yeah, you introduced me to that movie a couple of years back. I ended up buying it on Blu-ray. I think I may have discussed that previously. Maybe on a cutting room floor. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's not. Everything that you say is not on the cutting room floor.
Oh God. See, ladies and gentlemen, when I did the TARDIS Tavern, there would be a good 20% cut from whatever we talked about. I cannot imagine. Oh boy. But yeah, I bought the Blu-ray and I really enjoyed the film. I've seen it multiple times since. So yeah.
Not for the snowflakes though. A lot of politically incorrect shit.
Yeah, what Peter Sellers does is very. If you concern yourself with whitewashing in modern movies, oh boy, this is not the movie for you.
He's playing a Charlie Chan character, but yeah. I think the in-joke is that Charlie Chan, for the most part, was played by a white guy dressed in yellow garb. So,
did not know that.
Yeah. That's part of the in-joke, and also Charlie Chan's fucking great in it. I'm sorry. All right, Steve, why don't you spin that... Wait a minute, Steve, What's spin wrong? The wheel.
No?
I hear the dulcet tones of Baby Shark. Do you know what that means? That means that we have reached the end of our season.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so the next episode that we talk about is going to be a Mrs. Columbo episode, which will be A Puzzle for Profits.
I'm excited.
Available on YouTube. So look out for that as a bonus episode in between this season and the next season. We'll have it up there. I'm kind of excited because it will be the only thing so far that I've watched for this that I haven't seen before.
Wait, what?
Ever. Like, I saw Word Games before, unfortunately, and didn't think it was that bad.
Great episode, yes.
So, yeah, check that out, folks, when it comes out. A Puzzle for Profits, Mrs. Columbo. I have been Sean.
And, I'm Steve, and I'm looking very forward to another Mrs. Columbo episode.
Now he's looking forward to it. And with that, we'll see you next season. Good night, everybody! Say good night, Steve.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @columboconfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes.
I love clues.
And the Oscar goes to...
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 Hi, my name is Sean, and I am the co-host of the Best Picture podcast. Each season, my co-host Eric and I randomly select a year and talk about the Best Picture nominees of that year, with each episode dedicated to a different movie. Did the Best Picture really win? Were there any overlooked movies? Was anything nominated that probably shouldn't have been? Listen to us and find out. Look for us wherever you can get fine podcasts.